Hello, this video is a video response to Mr. Colin Noirs' video about why black community so-called leaders tend to be so anti-Second Amendment when the black population in general isn't. And rather than attempt to make a moral judgment or anything like this, I basically just want to answer, as far as factually. Number one, that I guess you'd say, established black leadership is deeply rooted in Democratic Party politics. And the Democrat Party is the party of gun control. Now, the Republicans ain't all that great on the Second Amendment either, but that's something for another video. And, being that, they have to embrace, the gun control rhetoric, because their bread's buttered by the Democratic Party and the lobbies and interests that funded, rather than your everyday Keisha and Leroy. And number two is that the established black leadership is basically New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and post-70s, I'd say probably starting in the 80s, the black population's gotten a lot more southern and a lot more suburban. And southerners and suburbanites tend to be more pro-gun than northerners and people that live in densely populated cities. After the civil rights stuff kind of died down a little bit, and the advent of what they call the Rust Belt, when the industrial infrastructure in the Midwest and East Coast kind of went to crap, that, a lot of blacks whose grandparents and great-grandparents were originally from the South, they moved back to the South. And also, and I know this is true in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston, I think it's true in a lot of other cities too. I've heard in California trends thing. A lot of your blacks who are more well off, they are moving out of the traditionally black inner city neighborhoods to the suburbs, and these inner city neighborhoods are kind of being taken over by Mexican nationals and gay white people. So, with the move to the suburb and the move back to the South, you're seeing a more, gun-friendly general black population. Whereas the establishment, the leadership establishment, of organizations like the NAACP and whatnot, they tend to speak for people, live in South Chicago, Harlem, whatever, and those types of people, they tend to view guns differently than, us. Like, my best bud back home, he's a black guy from Los Angeles, and, he said in his neighborhood, only people that had guns were gangsters, crack dealers, and whatnot. Normal, everyday people didn't just have a gun out, sitting above the fireplace. Whereas when you come to Texas, it was normal. So there's a disconnect, and they're still, I guess you'd say the, quote, black leaders, Jackson, the NAACP, other, establishment, I guess, self-styled black leaders or whatever, they tend to cater to the New York and Chicago crowd rather than, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas. Because, like, you go to California, Illinois, New York, if you go out to the country, you don't see black folks. All the black folks stay in the city. Whereas you drive through Louisiana, Mississippi, East Texas, small, mid-sized towns, the demographics are about the same as your larger cities. You have a lot of small towns, you know, they're half black, half white, you know, 15-20% black, 40-50% white, and some Mexicans. So you have a little bit different outlook, you know, in the South than you do up north. And I think that's one reason that the so-called black leaders are so anti-gun. And, you know, like I said, they're beholden not necessarily to the black population of the United States, but more so to the Democratic Party machine and the, you know, interest groups that encompasses. Obviously, I'm not a black guy, so, you know, I don't know how welcome my opinion is, but I figured I'd make a video response because it was an intriguing question, and I hope that my response was helpful. And Mr. Noir and Mr. Demcad, you know, I enjoy both of y'all's videos. I'm subscribed to both of y'all guys. Alright, that's it. Deuces.